accept the fact that the city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion. Biblical. What it means is Old Testament. Yeah, man. Real wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling. 4 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes. The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. That's hysteria.
Well, listen, it is 7-Eleven. And you know what that means? Yeah, well, it's right here. It's Slurpee Day. That's right. Hey, shout out to everyone working at 7-Eleven. Shout out to all the Slurpee peeps. Did you know that it was a holiday? It is. It is a holiday. Of course, 7-Eleven is a holiday. Listen, you can get a free Slurpee. I already got mine. The question is did you get yours? Because if there's one thing you should be celebrating, it's 7-Eleven Day, Slurpee Day here in the year 2026, setting the standard and raising the bar. The only way a real award-winning media puppet knows how to do. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman, and this is WDCE 90.1 FM here at broadcasting out of the University of Richmond. Where'd the sun go? What happened to the sun? Listen, when I got these Slurpees, the sun was all nice and bright. Now it's all overcast, looking all dreary. Well, you know what would cheer you up? That's right, a free Slurpee, because it is 7-Eleven Day, which is, like I said, a holiday. So make sure you're following me all over social media at Sam Newsman, all over social media. Did you listen to the first hour of the show? If you didn't, you missed out, because me and the professor, Deep Cut Dave, we're talking about dinosaurs. We played a whole bunch of dinosaur-themed cartoons, television shows. Now, that first hour is a radio-only segment. The only way you can listen to it is if you're here locally, WDCE, of course, 90.1 FM. But if you're not here in the listening area, what you can always do is, you can, what was that? Yeah, right. No, yeah, WDCE.org. and WDCE.net. WDCE, is that what it is? WDCE.net. You can always download the Live 365 app. Search WDCE that way as well. And that's like I said, those are a couple of ways that you can listen to that first hour. I said it was a whole bunch of dinosaur-related stuff. The professor a couple of weeks back was like, hey, let's talk about dinosaurs. And I said, hey, you know what? Dinosaurs would be great. Dinosaurs would be awesome. I mean, everybody loves a good dinosaur, right? You know, and everybody has their favorite dinosaur. If you do have a favorite dinosaur, let me know in the chat. If I see it, I'll be able to shout it out. I said we are broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, Kick, and what is the other one? Instagram. That's right. IG, Instagram. So we have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Kick. Those are what we're broadcasting on right now. So, I mean, well, like I said, everybody has a favorite dinosaur, and let's get into it. Like, when were dinosaurs actually discovered? Did you know that George Washington never got to see a dinosaur? The father of our country never got to see any dinosaur. In fact, according to the fossil record, is what they say, the fossil record says that none of those founding fathers really knew about dinosaurs. But my question is did they or did they not? Well, let's get into a little bit of that. Dinosaurs were scientifically discovered and documented in 1824. At least that's what it says here. This is from Discovery.com. Discovery.com. Paleontologist William Buckland identified and named the Megalosaurus. Shortly after, in 1822, Mary Ann Mantle discovered the iguanodon fossil, which her husband Gideon further described. So we have a little bit of a time there, 1824, 1822, 1824-ish. Like I said, that's coming from Discovery.com. Now, here's what's really interesting. In 1842, English anatomist Sir Richard Owen officially coined the word dinosaur. So the word dinosaur wasn't even around until 1842. It was derived from the Greek word for fearfully great lizard to classify these massive ancient reptiles. Now, what's really interesting about all this is that we really don't have a lot of information prior to that time until we start peeling back the clock and recognizing that the fact that it was the Royal Society that really had the foundation of all of this dinosaur stuff. Now, are you familiar with the Royal Society? Well, we should probably get into it. During the 17th and 18th centuries, a significant overlap existed between the Fellows of the Royal Society and the founders of what? Of who? Oh, that's right. You guessed it. If you guessed it correctly, the Freemasons. That's right. I have a buddy who always says it's always them. He's talking about another group of people, but I would say it's always them. It's always them, the Freemasons. Well, because you know what? They're looking out for you. Nothing says looking out for you than a bunch of people dressed in skirts on a white and black checkered board, doing a bunch of rituals and saying, hey, you know what? We're looking out for the community, right? Oh, so here we go. So many early scientists use Masonic and the Invisible College networks. Familiar with the Invisible College? There's a whole group, there's a whole study that you could go in about the Invisible College. The Invisible College of men who were sitting there changing their names and making sure that they did this and that and all this other stuff. It is very sus, as the kids say. Very sus, as the kids say today. But it is all there. And these the Invisible College networks to safely discuss empirical science and Enlightenment ideals away from strict religious and political censorship. Basically, rewriting the narrative. That's what that's called. It's called rewriting the narrative. Now, we can't sit there and just wash all this away. We do need to make sure that we understand that, yes, dinosaurs and the Royal Society is really where it all started. And the Royal Society members, well, yes, we have those names as well. And first starting with a founding member of the Royal Society, polymath, who is recognized as one of the first specifically recorded Freemasons. Yes, he was initiated in 1641. That is Sir Robert Moray. Sir Robert Moray. We also have Sir Christopher Wren, famed architect and foundational Royal Society member who served as, that's right, as the Grand Master of the Premier Grand Lodge of England. That's, yep, who would have thought? Oh, man, who would have thought? All right, oh, look, we have another one. John Theophilus, how do you say this last name? Desagurlers, Desagurliers. John Theophilus. Man, his name sounds like a dinosaur. I can't even sit there and pronounce it. Anyways, he's a prominent scientist, early president of the Royal Society, and a key architect who what? That's right, helped organize the first Grand Lodge of England in 1717. So, so historians and the Library of Museum of Freemasonry have documented that over 40 early fellows of the Royal Society were also actively belonging to early Masonic lodges. So that is... So then it makes you wonder, it's like, well, okay, do we have some more information about this? Well, of course, because this all goes back to British royalty. British royalty directly bridged Freemasonry and the Royal Society through shared members and philosophies in the 17th and 18th centuries. The intellectual overlap was championed by key figures who simultaneously shaped both groups, establishing a mutual dedication to natural philosophy, science, and the Enlightenment. That's right. That's right. Looking out for you as they rewrite the narrative and throw religious beliefs and religiosity down the toilet. Because you can't have any of that, right? The connection is deeply rooted in 17th century British and heavily influenced by key overlapping figures and places. We just went over a few of them. One of them was actually the first Freemason who was here on American soil. Yeah, it was one of the first Freemasons here on American soil, which is interesting. But remember, I was telling you about the Invisible College to the Royal Society in the 1640s. Now, this is the 1640s, ladies and gentlemen. Scientists like Robert Boyle and John Wilkins formed a group called the Invisible College, focused on experimental philosophy, where they deeply intertwined with early speculative Freemasonry, which shared an interest in geometry and architecture and mysteries of nature, changing this and changing that. And when King Charles II granted the Royal Charter in 1660, many foundational figures, such as architect Christopher Wren, scholar Elias Asmole, held prominent roles in both. So this is directly connected to British royalty at the time. Royal involvement brought legitimacy and public respect to both organizations. Well, yeah, because if they're sitting there trying to rewrite history and rewrite everything, then all of a sudden if the king sits there and says, hey, well, guess what? We approve of this. So, well, you know what that means? Well, if the king is saying it, then we all got to go and say it too. So there's that. And then we have the Duke of Sussex. The strongest, most formal bridge occurred early in the 19th century under Prince Augustus Frederick, the Duke of Sussex, the sixth son of King George III. He became the very first Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England in 1813. Simultaneously, he served as the president of the Royal Society from 1830 to 1838, firmly linking the leadership of the two organizations. So, and once again, it's the Royal Society, and people connected to the Royal Society is where our dinosaurs came from. And so now, of course, people will sit there and say, well, Sam, are you saying that dinosaurs are a myth? Well, possibly. And you say, well, that's crazy, Sam, because I went to a few museums and I see a whole skeleton over there. Now that is hogwash. What you're seeing is plaster from different bones and stuff, but they've never actually discovered a real dinosaur, a fully skeleton dinosaur. No, what they do is they find bits and pieces of bones, really big bones, and then they sit there and they then put them together and say, all right, well, this is what we speculate what it might look like. And then people say, hey, guess what? There it is. That's the dinosaur. Meanwhile, if you go back and look at ancient text, what does it talk about? It talks about dragons. So when people say, well, Sam, do you believe in dinosaurs? Well, probably not as they tell us, because why? Well, it's connected to a bunch of British royalty and the Freemasons. But what I do believe in is dragons, because there is a whole lot of potential evidence that dragons are real. And I said, well, evidence, what do you mean? Well, probably all the documents and books that were probably burned at the destruction of the Library of Alexandria, right? So there's that. But there's also what? Giant bones of what? Humans. That's right, giants. And when you sit there and start reading all the text, ancient text again, it does talk about giants. You ever hear the story about the giant of Khadgar? Is it Khadgar? Where a bunch of, this is an interesting one, where a bunch of soldiers, this is during Afghanistan, when the soldiers were in Afghanistan in the early 2000s, basically a big old giant wiped out a whole slew of soldiers. Then they sent another brigade of soldiers to go back and to get the giant that was in the cave that had started eating on the first set of soldiers that he wiped out. But this does go back and makes us question, well, who is in charge of history? And of course, it does make me ask the question, is that do you believe in your own government? Because here's the question. Would your government ever lie to you? I'm asking that. Would your government ever lie to you? Well, they say, well, Sam, you know what? That's preposterous. You know what? Because there'd have to be too many people involved for the lie to actually be real. I love it when people say that. They sit there and they say, "Oh, well, too many people are involved for it to be a cover-up." Not so. Not so. Specifically, if we're talking about societies that go back to British royalty, that go back to the Freemasons, that go back to about 100 years plus or so ago, and you want to sit there and tell me that once they sit there and they establish all this, they're the ones in charge. They're the ones in charge of everything. So it's always ridiculous when people are like, well, you know what? There's just too many people that would have to be involved. No, there's not. Just a small group of people behind a closed door with secret handshakes. That's all it really takes for any of this stuff. People just accept it at face value, and they sit there and say, oh, well, trust the science. They wouldn't lie to us about history. Carbon dating is fact. And I would tell you that all of that is just bunk. It is. It is. But then again, that's what you said. You said that your government would never lie to you. Your government would never lie to you. So they're telling the truth about science. They're telling the truth about history. Because why? The government would never lie to you. Listen, that's what you said, right? Would your government ever lie to you? I mean, that's just the question. If that's the original question, would your government ever lie to you? And if you say no, then that means that everything you read about history is true. Everything you read about government-sanctioned science is true. Government history, government science, it's all true. And people would say, oh, well, you know what? We've been doing this for years, and there's this in place and this. How many times have you seen where these peer-reviewed studies have come back and a bunch of people were lying? I'm serious. This happens all the time. It happens all the time, over and over and over again, where this science experiment will come out and it's peer-reviewed, and everybody says it's great. But then later, all of a sudden, it comes out and says, hey, well, guess what? There might be some discrepancies here. But you never see that. All you see is the main story on the front page. You know, the media does this all the time. The media will report something, and they'll report it as fact. And then they'll have to sit there and go back and, they have to sit there and say, oh, well, we're going to take all that back, but we're going to put it on a small section on the very back page in the far, corner. Yeah. We can't let that happen. Can't let that happen at all. So this is why it just makes me question this whole dinosaur narrative. Are dinosaurs real? Well, you know what? If you trust the government, you trust government science, you trust government history, well then yeah, maybe they are real. Because why? Oh yeah, that's right. You've seen a big old skeleton in a museum. Like the Smithsonian would never hide anything away from you, right? Yeah, like Kincaid in the Grand Canyon. You familiar with that story as well? Yeah, no, Kincaid in the Grand Canyon. You can go look it up. I'm not going to get into it here because, listen, I'm going to head out of here. I just wanted to sit there and go back over and probably just trigger a bunch of people because they think that I'm being serious the whole time when here I am, just an award-winning media puppet who is actually just nothing more than a professional award-winning troll. Oh my gosh. Got you all. Gotcha. Oh, listen, you know what? I have a favorite dinosaur too. I do. Yeah. Which one? It's the one with feathers, right? Because dinosaurs have feathers. Originally, they had skin that looked like reptiles, but now they have feathers. See, they don't even know what the hell dinosaurs even look like. Good grief. Good grief. Oh, listen, I kid. Do I? Oh, boy. All right. Well, listen, before I get out of here, I want to make sure you guys are all following me at Sam Newsman all over social media. That's at Sam Newsman all over social media. But I do have, now next week, maybe I'll have some more good news. I don't know. We're going to be talking about anime with the Professor Deep Cut Dave. So he's going to be at an anime con, so we'll be talking about all that. Tip of the cap to my buddy Joe, who gave me these amazing headphones, these retro headphones right here. They're Bluetooth. So I don't have the little wire or anything, but they're like vintage retro Bluetooth. Well, I guess they can't be vintage. They're vintage looking. But tip of the cap to my buddy Joe for giving me these really cool headphones that you see if you're watching us here on the Samcam. So, but before I leave you, I do have a joke. And if you saw this joke, now I did post this joke yesterday on my social media feed, but some people might not have seen it. So I do want to see if you, and I deleted it too, because the joke was just so good. I sat there and said, hey, you know what? I need to sit there and ask this joke for tomorrow. So, all right, so here we go. Here's the joke. All right, so what type of dance does spaghetti and sauce go to? What type of dance does spaghetti and sauce go to? Anybody? One last time. What type of dance does spaghetti and sauce go to? Do you know? No? Anybody? The meatball! They go to the meatball. What type of dance does the spaghetti and the sauce go to? It goes to the meatball. What? What do you mean womp womp? I thought that was a good one. I really did. I thought that was a great joke. So, what type of dance does the spaghetti and sauce go to? It goes to the meatball. So, that's the bad joke of the week, the bad dad joke of the week. And always have to end the show with a bad dad joke. Bad joke, bad dad joke, whatever. It's a bad joke. I think it's a great joke. So, but we'll be back next week, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're following us at Sam Newsman all over social media. That's at Sam Newsman all over social media is where you're going to find me. And make sure that if you are still here, download the Live 365 app, search WDCE. You'll be able to listen to Citizen Germs, Mr. Rogers segment here in just a few moments. Or you can go to WDCE.org, WDCE.net. Click on the link over there, and you'll be able to hear Citizen Germ close out the show here in just a few moments. So we'll be back next week. And make sure you're following me at Sam Newsman all over social media. And I might post something here or there. Got a big announcement coming on Wednesday, so make sure you're following me on social media because you will see that announcement. And I'll also be with my buddies over at the 3POA Midweek Mayhem. So shout out to everybody who joined in the chat. Love you all. And we will see you next week. Setting the standard and raising the bar. The only way a real award-winning media puppet knows how to do. Oh, that Game of Thrones is what they play. A house of cards just day by day. Voters lose in every way. It's just like I always say. Oh, it's sideshow, infotainment, politicians and news anchors, and talking points that make my eardrums bleed. The most trusted puppet in media is me. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman.
I recall the time they found those fossilized mosquitoes, and before long